Oh, this is so good. You are seeing the folks in the mainstream media who could have asked Kamala Harris any of the questions that Bret Baier asked last night. They were all incredibly reasonable questions. You are seeing them now go into defense mode. You know, when the Chiefs are up like 20 points with 5 minutes left, you just try to get out of there with the win, right? You don't really care if you give up the touchdown. You just want to get out of there with the victory and move on with your day. Well, that's what they are doing. They are trying to figure out a way to spin this, to get out of this news cycle, and to move on with a win for their preferred candidate. Despite the fact that Bret Baier just asked questions that I think tens of millions of Americans have been longing for somebody to ask of the VP who wants to be the next president of the United States. And you look at last night and you see somebody who was frankly way in over her head on these questions. And that's why if she had addressed this stuff in July or August when people are still on summer vacation and you have a flub here or a flub there, nobody remembers it by October. We're sitting here on October 17th. Early voting's underway in a bunch of states. We started this weekend in Kansas. Not that everyone's or anyone is curious on how Kansas will turn in this election, but you get the point. It's underway. It is front of mind right now for millions of Americans. And when now is the time you choose to face questions that you have never been asked before, this is how you end up with people saying, well, I don't know if I can go ahead with that. I'm not sure if that's what I want in the White House. Like, think about all the times J.D. Vance has been asked over the last 2.5 months. Comments about childless cat ladies and all these different things that he's been pressed hard on. I can't remember one answer that sticks out from one of those Sunday shows because when you do so many of them, you can't latch on to one. And when you do so many of them, it prepares you for the next one. You get more comfortable. You get better. It doesn't matter if you're a Republican or a Democrat. The more of anything you do, right? The more questions you get from adversarial media, the better you get at answering them. And that's why at this point, I would have said to Kamala Harris's advisors, not that they were looking for my input, but I would have said, there's no way this is going to go well for you. There's just no way. Not only because Kamala Harris does not have the ability to communicate in an effective manner and get right to the point and get right to an answer and give an answer of substance, not only because of that, but because she has not been prepared for the moment. Say what you want about Trump, right? Now, Trump, I will give you. He gives meandering, wandering answers all over the place. The weave. That's what the weave. That's what they call it, right? It's the weave. But he's usually able to tie it together, even if he's not a detail-oriented guy. God knows he's not. Wish he was, but he's not. He's able to weave it all together and message in a way that, first off, makes him look confident, makes him look like he's in charge, he's the boss, and you come out of it being like, I'm not quite sure what he was going for there, but it sounded okay. Like, that's how it works, because he's been in front of the media for decades, and no one's done more political interviews over the last 10 years, 3 presidential cycles, than him. So it works. But when you're a rookie at this, which Kamala Harris is, it doesn't. So how is the media handling this? Let's roll Brian Stelter, the human chode, CNN. Here we go.
I think this strategy from Harris was a Google strategy. She wanted Fox viewers to start to Google some of the things she was saying because some of the comments she was making in this interview are foreign to the Fox audience. For example, General Mark Milley saying Trump is a fascist to the core. That's barely been covered on Fox News. So she was able to get some of those talking points in. This was the most adversarial interview Kamala Harris has probably ever done. Instead of getting to debate Trump again, she got to debate Bret Baier. And a lot of viewers are going to come away saying, wow, she's willing to do that. That's a sign of toughness and strength.
Oh, boy, Brian. Oh, Brian. Brian.
I'm not worth your Red Lobster money.
Come on, Brian. No, he's not. If you think somebody who was maybe right of center, little on the fence, a little more moderate, watched that interview with Bret Baier last night and said, my big takeaway is, wow, Mark Milley, there's people that worked for Trump that don't like him? Wait, what? Really?
Talk about a bombshell.
No, I'm pretty sure we all knew that to be the case. See, here's the thing. The vast majority of people who are voting for Donald Trump, now there's those who are the diehards, obviously, but there are tens of millions of people voting for Donald Trump and who will vote for Donald Trump, who look at Donald Trump and they say, yeah, I get it. Like, not the most stand-up person, but they're looking at the country. They're looking back on his 4 years. They're comparing it to the past 4 years. And they're saying, boy, one of these individuals sure did run the country a heck of a lot better than the other. One of these administrations was a heck of a lot more effective on behalf of the American people than the other. And when you think back to Donald Trump's pitch in 2016, it was, hey, I don't have to be the best guy in the world, but I'm a business guy. The country needs that right now. I'm an outsider. I'm going to shake up the system. That's what I'm here to do. And there were tens of millions of Americans who said, okay, let's do it. Now it's very different. Now it's kind of like, do you miss me? Now it's kind of like maybe we didn't realize what we had. As much as there were plenty of things that annoyed a lot of people, the tweets, the bluster, the whole deal, the country was governed effectively in comparison to what is currently on the ballot against Donald Trump. And that is indisputable by every single measure, economically and foreign policy-wise, obviously being the top two, throw in the border, and it's not even close. It's a landslide. So I know Brian Stelter is looking at it through his CNN-colored glasses and saying to himself, well, people are going to say, wow, I didn't know that this guy, Mark Milley, most people don't even know who Mark Milley is. The swing voter who's on the fence is not like, geez, old Mark Milley. Come on, that's like asking a casual Chiefs fan who the third-string left tackle is. He's so out of touch, so far in the weeds.
Mark Milley called Trump a fascist, right? Get in line.
Yeah, that's
what a shocker, huh?
Yeah.
Somebody called Trump a fascist? What?
Whoa, I've heard that one before. Oh, but yeah, I'm dying to find out about Mark Milley. Like, he was the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff for a year under Donald Trump. Nobody cares about that. Get out of your little bubble in Washington, D.C., dude. Come on, James and Olathe, what do you got?
Hey, Pete, how you doing this morning? I'll start out by saying, you kind of described me to a T. I mean, I know that Trump's got his, shortcomings, but, Mark Milley, most people that follow Trump in a conservative way, including listening to your show, they know very well who Mark Milley is. I mean, he's the guy that famously testified in Congress and was pulled in front of the committee because he said if we took any kind of political action or military action against China, I would be on the phone to my counterpart in Beijing to tell them about it.
Well, here's the thing, though. You're giving people way too much credit. When he mentioned Mark Milley, like, my brain had to rack for 5 seconds and be like, Mark Milley, Mark Milley, Mark Milley. And I'm doing this every day. I'm just being totally honest with you. There is no way the person on the fence, the person who's not sure on Trump or Kamala, is like, oh, yeah, Mark Milley. That's impossible, James.
Well, and when they talk about Mike Pence, Mike Pence had a falling out with Trump in a big way. And he said he has said, he don't think Trump would be a good president. But what they're not saying, he's also said there's no way I could vote for Kamala Harris.
Yeah. I mean, exactly. Thank you, James. Mike Pence is not out there doing the old tour like Liz Cheney is right now. Right? Like, okay, she brings up Mike Pence last night. But once again, the question for the American people is, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? And Bret Baier encapsulated that very well last night when he closed with this.
I hope you got to say what you wanted to say about Donald Trump. There are a lot of things
There's more to say. I have much more to say.
There are a lot of things that people want to learn about you and your policies, and that's why I
invite everyone to go to KamalaHarris.com, and you will see that I have 80 pages of policies that are quite comprehensive and should be accessible to anyone who would like to read them. And it includes what I intend to do about affordable housing, what I intend to do about small businesses, what I do
and that's why we invited you here
our economy,
to see where you were in 2019 and where you are now.
America's military and ensure we have the most lethal and best fighting force in the world.
Madam Vice President,
And
they're giving me a hard rap
Well,
here.
I thank you for the time.
I thank you for the time.
It's good to meet you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Oh, man. Tell me that was not like classic husband-wife moment in an argument. All right, honey, I feel like you've gotten it all out of your system, and I appreciate that. No, there's more to say. There's more to say. Don't you go anywhere. There's more to say. It's like, oh, no, there's more to say. Oh, gosh. I can't deal with it. All right, we got to put a bow on this.